What's up, y'all? Shuffle. In this video, I'm going to go over what I think are the best builds for each individual character in the game currently. Those before any major path reworks and stuff, so subject to change. And this is just what I found to be really effective, so I hope it works for you. And if it doesn't, just, you know, let me know what you think. If you got something else that's really cool too, it's always nice to hear from y'all. And before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to Reese, one of our YouTube members at the tier 3. Very, very kind and awesome. So thank you for joining up with us. And if you want to join yourself and get, you know, a cool shout out in a video and some other perks, make sure you check below and hit the link to join, or click the join button to become a YouTube member. Now, to talk about the characters. The first is Plague Doctor. And if you've watched any of my content for any stretch of time, you probably know where this is going. So Alchemist, busted right now because the resistance penetration is crazy. Minus HP doesn't matter. All of this is really good. And so we want to focus on Blight and staying alive. So we have both Blight attacks. We have both heals. And then we have Ounce, which this is kind of your flex pick. If you want to run something else, like if you have a dot heavy team and you want to run Cause of Death, you can do that. If you want to use emboldening and buff people, you can. If you want to control corpses with Migraine, you can also do that. But I think the easiest one to find consistent use is actually Ounce, especially in like creature dens. So you can put her anywhere, or on any team, I should say, obviously. And then Grave Robber next, my favorite hero. And with Deadeye is the path we're choosing. All three of them are good, honestly. It's really hard to say, at least for me, which is the actual best, but I know for a lot of people that Deadeye is probably like the easiest to run, so I'm kind of leaning towards that as well. And what's even funnier with Deadeye is you go, oh, I'm supposed to use Throne Dagger because it got stronger. Actually, still use darts, because darts also get better with Deadeye. And you can swap in Pirouette if you want, maybe over Dead of Night or Repartee or something like that, but I think this is a really solid loadout. You get both of her self-heals, survivability. You get Repartee, which is insane after the buff. Needs a mastery point, but it's good. And then you have Glint in the Dark. This is one people sleep on because it's a range move that you can use in rank 1. So if she's up there and can't do anything, and you don't run, you know, Pirouette, for instance, you can still throw Glint in the Dark, and it does stuff. So don't sleep on it. It's very good. For Highwayman, obviously, it's Sharp Shot, and it's everything you expect. All the range skills. So we have pistol shots, double tap, take aim, point blank shot, and then grape shot. But you can swap something depending on what you're going up against. Like if you really want highway robbery or even tracking. But usually if I'm swapping something, it might be grape shot or pistol, depending on what it is. You know, if it's a boss, maybe, maybe not. And those are probably the ones you swap in after, but it's really easy to play, take aim, hit stuff over and over, and it's good. It's not bad. It'll never not be bad until it gets completely destroyed or changed. We have Man-at-Arms. This is a tough one because I know a lot of people have their favorites, so like all of his paths are pretty close, I would say. But I picked Sergeant, and I'll tell you why. So this is the stock loadout. You know, we still have Crush and Retribution, even though the damage on this stuff got lowered and Retribution got nerfed pretty heavily. But it's not unplayable. People are thinking Retribution can't be used, but like you can swap in something else, you know, for Standfast, or just hit Defender on the off turns from Retribution. So just always giving yourself a bunch of block as well as bolster. As long as it's ineffective or anything like that. You can always stay in position with Hold the Line. You got some decent reach. But what I really, really, really like on this path is this, like the buffs that it actually gets. So 100% move resist, that's move immunity. Straight up, like nothing can move him if it hits him. If it moves something in front of him, that's different. You get the bolster remove stuff on him, which is okay, not as good as it was because bolster doesn't take stuff off the teammate. But what I really, 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 really like is the dot resist. Even though it's random, it is kind of clutch. And the more I play, the more I realize that damage over time is kind of really what grinds out a lot of teams. You know, if you get hit really hard, not too hard to, you know, get away from it, because what usually kills you is the bleed on top, for example. And so if you get crit to Death's Door, you can taunt someone or guard, and then usually they're okay, and then you heal them up. And being able to throw resist on your teammates so they don't take that damage over time is actually really helpful. So that's why I pick it, because I like my man-at-arms to be super tank support style. Next is Hellion, of course, with Ravager, and we pick all the hard-hitting moves as well as self-sustain. So we have Iron Swan for the reach, Hellion because it still hits dumbass hard, and you can use the turn 1, so it can still annihilate something. Toe-to-toe to clear Winded on upgrade and stay in position. And then both self-heals. These are pretty nice. The first upgrade I would give is actually toe-to-toe. And I haven't talked about the rest of them yet, but toe-to-toe is probably the first point for this character. And just to recap the other ones, I would say Bolster for Man-Arms is first, and then maybe Take Aim for Highwayman, or Grave Robber, whatever your damage move is, so like darts, and then Plague Doctor, probably Plague Grenade. So, there you go. All cut up. Yeah, Ravager Hellion, still the queen in terms of just hitting stuff really hard, and it's good until it gets nerfed. It is good. For Jester, we're going to run Virtuoso, and it's just Jester Plus. So you can just do any Jester strat you want to use works with Virtuoso outside of like Echoing March Bleeds, because you can't do that. So if you want to just use the main attacks, bleed, stress cure I should say, and then encore, got that. If you want to run the finale loop, you know, with finale, solo, encore, and then, you know, whatever else, for example, you can still do that, and it's effective. You know, it's never not effective. So Jester's kind of crazy in terms of what he is capable of, especially with Virtuoso, because it's just all he gets is speed and some HP, and then like stress immunity on an ally. The minus dot res kind of hurts though, but otherwise really, really strong. For Leper, this is kind of tough. So I was thinking either Tempest, like Monarch's the best at the cosmic fights, the mountain and stuff, but Tempest is pretty good in most situations. Poet's surprisingly good as well. So I might throw the hot take out there, and I might just say it's Poet. So I know the game is damage centric and stuff like that, but a lot of people have access to damage, and he doesn't really lose too much in damage, you know, 25%, but like Chop, you know, still hits hard enough in plenty of cases. You can still give him strength and whatever, and it hits hard. And then you got all those good utility stuffs like Withstand, Salim to self-heal, Bash, really good move, and Intimidate for extra taunting. And I think it's good. Very strong path goes in, or setup I should say, goes into a lot of things pretty effectively. Next is Occultist, and after the buffs he's gotten really good, so I love it, if I can be quite honest. And with Ritualist you get access to really strong curses. You become a better healer, which is nice, and then you can either run like either the melee moves or some of the range moves, but I kind of like to try and get the unchecked power in there. So if I'm not running Binding Shadows, for instance, I'll use Chaotic Offering. And if it's regular fights, I'll use Burning Stars. If it's a boss, I'll put in Malediction. But otherwise, he kind of does it all. He does some pretty solid damage, his curses stick, and his heals less crappy. Runaway, no surprise, Arsonist, Firefly, Smokescreen, Cauterize, the big three that she has access to. Run and Hide's okay after the buff, so it can heal her and get rid of dots, which is nice. And then if you find yourself not in rank 4, Controlled Burn is actually pretty good at a lot of the boss encounters because they get multiple turns or actions. And so this will stack up every time they take an action. So that's really nice too. But yeah, pretty independent here. You can put her in whatever and it functions very well. Vestal, this is a tough one. A lot of people are going to default to Seraph, so I picked that one too. But other than that, the skills, I think the main ones for Seraph are going to be Ministrations, Consecration of Light, and maybe Sanctuary. But since it's Seraph, you probably want to find a way to wiggle in Fortitude And so you're starting to see how this gets a little complicated because you have to give up one or two really good things to make this work. So if you just want to go no damage, which this is actually something I do a fair bit, you know, I'll go no damage on Vestal and I'll just run a bunch of support stuff. A bit wonky, can really backfire sometimes, but this way you can like squeeze out the most value from this. And she does okay. She goes on pretty much any team. Everyone likes to have the consecrations. Everyone likes Doc Cures, Guard, and stuff. So the only thing that sucks is it's a lot of unlocks to get to that point. Flagellant, I'm actually gonna pick Wanderer. So his Wanderer path is really good. All of his paths are good, but Wanderer is very strong too. And for this, you know, we'll take some Punish and Acid Rain just to give him a lot of reach and good hitting abilities. More, probably one of the most broken moves in the entire game. Of course, he's going to have it. Lash's Gift, really good in this case. And then Sepsis, so you have a way to just, you know, bounce back his HP and do some good damage. Duelist was another hard one that was just kind of a nightmare. Like, there's a lot going on with this character, so I tried to boil it down to something easy to use, but that's still effective, and I think Wanderer is actually pretty good. All of her paths require a lot of thought and some setup and stuff and unlocks, and so I'm really going to focus on Wanderer here. And what I normally like to do is just flesh turn one, and then meditate, just get the aggressive stance, and then go into dodge plus riposte, and then after that you can like feint, meditate, and if you're out of position you can touche from anywhere, which is nice too. And then finally there's coup de grace because it's good, hits from anywhere, execute, all that, really nice. And then finally, Ronaldo. A Wanderer right now because it's kind of tough to say which is better. Like, all of his paths are solid, but Wanderer is always a safe pick. Banneret's really good too, and then Templar's, you know, tanky. People probably like that one a lot, so I'm gonna pick Wanderer. You get the bonus damage on smites. You get Holy Lance to fix positioning, which is great. You get both his Ely support things, and then you get Bulwark, which is a very, very, very good move. So if you have all of this and you just want to plug in some frontliner that can do effective stuff, this is it. So those are my thoughts on the current best individual builds for each character. Let me know what you're thinking down below in the comments if you have your own ideas on what's better and whatnot. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.